those rural areas to buy votes, because even when the people are aware of the need to indeed vote according to their conscience, the lure of that 5,000, 10,000 will be so much. 10,000 in the rural area can start off a business. So it will be hard to resist. Let them focus there. Let me welcome my colleagues, Abuja-kaduna and TVTF.
Amici, good morning once again, and it's a bright new morning. Good morning, dear listener. We want to congratulate the Chief of Defense Staff, Irabo, and his team for the rescue of 23 victims at the Kaduna-Abuja rail track. I must say it's a big one. We have said here before, Amici, that what has not been achieved miraculously in 7 years can be achieved in 7 months, and we have seen that happening now. I'm sure the president will score good cards if he continues in this direction and rescue those kidnapped children in Birnin Yauri, in Kagara, in elsewhere where they are still in captivity, and Leah Sharibu, of course, is still there. But I must ask why the Irabo and his team were in a rush to release the information that they freed these persons when they have not reunited with their families. One should have thought that they put them through psychological, what they call it now, test them, put them through a process of recovery, then unite them with their families, then release a statement together. I don't know why they rushed, but be that as it is, we congratulate them and say what we have been calling for, yearning for, the interagency collaboration really took place, and it was effective here. And as the spokesperson said, they commend the interagency collaboration to the rescue of these victims, and I welcome them back to the society and pray, as you have said, Amechi, without security there is no peace. Even at home, in your small family of 4, if you don't have peace, if you don't have security, you can't
even sleep.
You can't sleep. So I must commend them for that. And on the issue you talked about, INEC, Amechi, this is why some people will call for the Commission for Electoral Offences, because I don't know what INEC business is to be putting undercover agents at
polling units. Business?
It's not their business. It's a distraction, Amechi.
No, INEC
is a distraction,
Amechi. At the head of the
it's not their business.
System.
Yes, but it's not their business to tell us they are going to put undercover. It's not that there is a distraction.
It's their business.
Their function is to conduct election. They have security agencies mandated. So that's why some persons will tell you, create election offensive tribunal.
Right to prosecute election offenders, those that violate the Electoral Act. So they have a responsibility to safeguard the election. If it fails, you blame INEC. So what they are doing is that it's not that INEC officials will be there as undercover agents. They are just electoral commission officers and officials. They will use the existing security architecture. You know, there's an interagency security architecture for elections. What INEC is saying here is that they will activate it and they will encourage them to indeed. INEC should provide directions because they are the general overall managers of the electoral process. Where there is a higher need for security intervention, INEC points out, and in a collaborative manner, the specific security agency will come in and operationalize. So what INEC is saying is that we will use the existing security architecture to deploy undercover agents to deal with the issue of vote buying. You know, we always accuse them of not doing enough to counter and curtail vote buying, and they said this is the direction they're going.
Amechi, good morning to you. Good morning, listener. Perhaps maybe because INEC has not lived up to responsibility over the years in respect of monitoring elections to the extent of picking up electoral offenders, as it were. Abulu has, surrendered that role that INEC should be performing, and clearly it goes to show what some of us have always said and argued, that we don't need an electoral offences commission. If INEC is responsible enough to carry on that responsibility, they can do it, and that is what they are working towards now. I imagine that if there is a national commissioner in charge of electoral offences, the responsibility of that national commissioner will not be any other job but that. So you can be sure the person will focus on it and get results, just the way our friend.
Perhaps that's what Abulu was making reference to, so that they don't get distracted. And that's where the issue of unbundling INEC came, so that relieve them of some of these responsibilities and allow INEC as it were to focus solely on election conduct.
Beautiful. Maybe we should also unbundle INEC and have INEC radio station, INEC radio TV station, social media, so that Okoye will come and be in charge of those platforms. Look, it's in other climes. I've always gave example of Kenya. They are not just only elections. They are also responsible for boundary issues. I just know that we have a separate commission in Nigeria that is doing that. So it's just a matter of them being focused. Clearly, like I said, if it means getting an additional national commissioner who will be in charge of that, it can be done. It can be done, so that we don't create another agency, create another bureaucracy, create another.
Let's start from the base. The colonial police that we inherited to Nigeria police force them. Based on its failure, we created multiple security agencies.
And
we created civil defense. No, we didn't create yellow fever. Yellow fever is part of police and armed motor department. We created road safety. We created civil defense. We created ICPC. We created EFCC. Some people are saying pass a law to create Peace Corps.
Maritime police.
NIMASA. Because of the failure, because elsewhere is marine police. Now, because of the failure. Not necessarily the failure of the police, because some people said it started during the military dictatorial era, where they stopped funding the police because they didn't want them to be efficient with arms to counter do anything fun in terms of their dominance of our political process. They intentionally undermined the police, and since then, in trying to rectify the problem, instead of going to the base where the problem started, to solve the problem, we'll resort to ad hoc arrangements. And ad hoc arrangement will never take you to anywhere. And now people are saying, create another commission to deal with electoral offenders, or also take all the functions carried out by these agencies. Is originally the function of the police, and nothing stops the police the police fraud unit can undertake the work of the EFCC and ICPC. To what extent is the police doing that? Are they channeling attention? Are they investigating corruption cases, or is it when it gets to the police they settle everybody and everybody goes home? So everybody has a responsibility to wake up. The police must rise up to reclaim its mandate. It's when it's effective that people will say yes, the police has woken up, or let's even help them to wake up so that we could dismantle all these multiple infrastructure and architecture that will not guarantee efficiency.
That is why I agree with the EFCC Act that an ASP should head EFCC. Is that not the Act? It's not the Act, but Obasanjo started with Nuhu Ribadu and so on and so forth.
Who confirmed that?
Who confirmed that? But if you have such agencies as a result of unbundling of the police,
I don't know. Yeah.
I think they should be headed, or the heads there should be either serving or retired police.
Which agency?
Yes.
Well, offshoot of the police now.
The act didn't say a police officer. Until the present EFCC chairman came, who have been appointing former police. It didn't say, just say years of experience. It's the same thing with even ICPC. The presidents, successive presidents have been appointing retired justices. The act did not specifically mention them.
So I'm worried that you said police have been undermined and their functions have been, what do you call it now? Usurped by so many agencies created. So it's high time where we started funding the police, giving the police the role. It's by the civil rule, let the police take charge of security of this country. In India, they don't have military in India. Very few. The police is in charge in India.
You rarely see any member of the armed force on the streets elsewhere.
So that is it. Bulu, you may wish to know that on election day, INEC national chairman assumes the responsibility of an IG. He's at that point the chief of defense, because he's in charge of the entire process, and he can give directives in respect of what should be done. And we'll take that point also to congratulate Nigerians all of us have been involved, even though the president only congratulated the military, the other security forces, without mentioning Nigerians, as it were. We were all involved. The calls, a lot of people have been praying. Just on Sunday,
pressures of being mounted on
everybody has been,
and that is what we did here.
So it's a happy one for us. Whatever it is, some of us have always said, whatever needs to be done should be done. To get them out. We have been told the chief of defense staff committee. We don't know at which point, that committee was set up. Perhaps from the way some members and analysis are going, it appears that was set up sometime, and then the man has been arrested. Was at some point interfering with the process. The process of releasing them. Don't forget, there were stories about how they made demands. Government made some of those demands. The Kuje correctional,
including release of the wife and children of the commanders, transporting them with chartered plane and all that, and they reneged on their agreement. So it suggests that it was a dialogue, some form of negotiations, give and take.
Yes, okay, because the operation, nobody has told us much beyond that in terms of whether. And I'm sure if it were a shootout, clearly...
It was a release, not a rescue. If it's a rescue, then they rescued their own commanders in Kuje, while we released, worked towards the release of our fellow citizens.
I'm sure it's not a choice of words, Amechi.
Whatever it is,
let's commend the military for rescuing these victims.
What did that statement say?
Is released.
Where are you getting
that? If it's a release, why are they commending interagency collaboration?
Everybody, that's what I said. Everybody was involved. You and I were also involved in that, even though we did not sit on that.
So for me, I commend them for rescuing the victims.
Fine, whatever. Like I said, whatever it is, they're out. And moving forward, I'm much more impressed with what the president said, that that effort will be sustained. So please, Mr. President, good enough. Just this week, a newspaper report was saying there is a drop in the rate of adoption, kidnapping by about 38%.
Yes, after a long time, we are seeing a drop, and it's quite commendable.
I know that recently the president of the National Institute of Psychiatric
in Jos
was
released,
and within hours, he was rescued, as it was. So that is what we expect to see. It gives people more assurances that look, indeed, we have a government that is there, and you can also be sure. And I can always say elections are approaching, so we need to get this process tidied up for us to move. So, but whatever it is, it should be sustained. Moving forward, so that everybody, it's good that we don't wake up these days to talking about adoptions, killings here and there, as it were.
As much as. It's not that it has ended. It has not ended, but not as much as before.
And we have the time to discuss development issues. We have the time to also engage. But even the government itself has the time to also, think about other things and engage other things beyond this. So it's commendable, and we should. The most important thing is we should sustain this. Just like Abulu also mentioned, Leah Sharibu. We have about 95 Chibok school girls that we can't account for. We have about 23 or so students of Federal Government College,
Benin
Yauri, and then one of the Bethel Baptist students in Kaduna that is still in captivity. Several other persons that we may not even know their identity, as it were. Everything should be done, so that we get whether they are released, whether they are rescued, whether they are found, because the case of the Chibok girls, it is now the issue that they were found. As it was.
Found, not released,
not
found
rescued.
Wandering in the forest, in the bushes,
and
clearly, and all that.
And clearly, the tourists have almost wasted
whichever
their lives.
one, release, secure, found. We need them back.
So that goes a lot to say that, as Stevia said, if we can sustain this peace, then no government can relax and discuss issue of ASU and other issues in need of attention. The Court of Appeal is going to hear ASU issue today, and we hope that they will channel their energies there. As Stevia has been appealing to Mr. President, he has promised the Speaker that today
another round of meeting.
Yeah, they're going to meet today.
And the appeal court gave them 24 hours today
settle out of court
for a possible out of court settlement. So there's a possibility that when the leadership of the House of Representatives meet again with the president today, there's a possibility that something positive will come
we
out
look forward
of
to go. I had some students already celebrating and saying that they hope that before the end of October they should go back to school. It's 236th day today, and it's not a good news at all. If you go to the embassies, you see so many Nigerians jetting out. They're going for studies. I said it here. Somebody abandoning his master's program.
For those that can afford it.
Yes.
Those that cannot afford it will go to the criminal school. There's a school for criminals, and they're recruiting. They are recruiting young graduates. They are recruiting them into Yahoo, advanced fee fraud. They are recruiting them into banditry. They are recruiting them as unknown gunmen. So when the universities are closed, then, of course, the other people that are competing with government over control and utilization of our young people are there. These are things we must not gloss over.
Like the Justice of the Court of Appeal said, this issue can be settled and should be settled out of court. And that is